Hey, Marky and Renee here. To go over a couple of things, to my companies and corporations, you have to know, and I mean know, memorized or look up, the possibilities look up. The case studies with how Johnson & Johnson, the families became one. And I think the other case study comes from Halliburton. I'll get into them. Johnson & Johnson, he had just inherited the company and was hospitalized. They kept saying, oh, you're going to be dating, that's fine, this or that. We'll introduce you to somebody, because they thought he was a tyrant. And they really didn't know much about him, which is true. And all this mayhem ensued, so to speak. And finally, the other owner goes in with the attorney to find out what the heck's going on, because he's trying to sell. And they got tired of it. They're like, okay, why is he trying to sell? Well, I don't know, we've been friends for years. Our names are in the actual name of the company. He wasn't that bad. He was ticked off because no one's listening to him, no one's meeting with him, and he thought they were embezzling all his money. It was his biggest concern. So they haul him out of there, get him home, take him to a board meeting. This is a general rule. It never happens while they're in the hospital. The dating. True. It usually happens when they're back home. That's almost always the case. Yeah, that's actually true. So anyone who thinks I'm going to be dating, not really. I'm still in a hospital, which is still a hospital. Well, probability is no. And the stupid rumor in the media that SI is going to bring swimsuit models over, all of them, they're going to be in this year's episode, so to speak. This year's issue, yeah, that's not real. I'm based in reality. That's not real. I may actually own a percentage of SI, but so what? But I'm sorry, they're not going to show up and introduce themselves to me. That's not real. Back to the case study. So they calm him down. He decides not to sell, and they invite him to a board meeting. And the woman who actually wanted to date him, they introduced him there as a family member. I don't think it was a company employee. I think it was a family member. I know it's a family member of one of the Johnson family. And it's the first Johnsons. And they dated, they married, and that's why Johnson & Johnson's one family now. It's because, that's what's famous. That's why it's famous case study. The other one is hospitalization. And I'll bring up another thing about an accounting department. During this, I forget if that was with the company or not, but it was Halliburton. They owned about 30% of Halliburton. They were hospitalized, and the hospital tried running the company. Corporation, technically. It was just becoming a corporation then, if I remember correctly. They were lying to him the whole time. They weren't talking to him. They were talking to everyone else, including the media, and trying to run the corporation, thinking that they were going to get it. They even tried to deem him incapacitated, so that they could actually get the company and get control and get paid for it. I'm not joking. This is the different part. The accounting department, it could be in this case, could be a separate case. So the women are all saying they're dating him. And they're playing these silly games about who knows the most about him. Pin the tail on the donkey. And that's how they got him, was pin the tail on the donkey. That they were just basically embezzling or looting the till. They're taking money from the company or corporation for giveaways. And they're all trying to impress the girls in the department. And that's all they were doing. Just for the benefit. But they weren't dating him. The owner, And they played the dumbest games. It's who cares? That's what they found out was even the guest who knows the most about the owner, they didn't. It wasn't even real facts about him. They were just what an individual thought they knew about him. But it wasn't real. Not the information. It wasn't real information about him. Back to the case study. They actually got nervous, and this is always the case. It's either the attorney and the CEO, or attorney and board member, which is usually a part owner, or just an owner, co-owner technically, and the attorney. In one case, I think it was this one, the CEO and a board member went in and they fired the attorney because he was talking to everybody too, and including the hospital and not the individual. And they got sick of it and they're just fine, you're fired. You're lying, you're fired. You're lying to me about everything. That's the way they felt about the attorney. And he got leveled. True. Doesn't remember, yes. But that's why you know these case studies, because you have to look at case studies of hospitalizations of owners. And in the event they're single, you have to look at the case studies, what happened then. And there's plenty of cases where an owner of a company or owner of a corporation, and they are co-owners usually, to say the least, they're co-owners. But what transpires and how they end up dating is usually a board meeting, barbecue, or picnic. Company barbecue, company picnic, where they're introduced to the employee, but it never happens at a store, at a location. Not usually. It'll never work out that way. They know that. They're never serious. True. I've known that for a long time. I studied these case studies. There's either nonverbal communications, my course, in nonverbal communications, or my course in rhetoric, because that's what my degree is, and that's technically what I am. By schooling, that's only by schooling that I'm a rhetorician. I'm not in real life, but rhetoric is my degree. That's it. They need to go through these case studies and figure things out. But I'm not stupid. Well, that's why I invest or quote-unquote trade, and that's the correct term, trade, for 2 states and possibly 4 GOV. Because when hard pressed about the matter, if anyone tries to say I'm incompetent, they can't, because it's, well, do you know how to invest? Can you invest? And if they have no idea, well, then I can get them deemed incompetent for not knowing finances and how to handle their finances. You'd be surprised what I can pull off, because that's just, excuse me, boss. Yes, slight problem. These individuals are trying to say I'm incompetent, and obviously they are, because they can't speak the same language as me, which is finance, investments, and finance to a certain degree. And then you've got state GOVs or regular GOV, and enough said. This is Mark Union signing off from the wonderful world of the end. Have a nice day.